Welcome to the Art of Hobbiness. I'm Erin, joined by my lovely co-host Tam.
Hi!
Today we're going to be talking about one of Tam's new hobbies, and I'm really excited to dive into this because I know that you've not always been an avid reader, and I was very surprised to hear that you joined a book club.
I did join a book club, yes.
Tell me first, what even inspired you to do that?
I laugh because if you're a listener of the show or if you just know me personally, you know that I had a really traumatic incident with a book club a few years ago that resulted in me being like, I'm never joining a book club again. And then I told you recently that I joined one and you were like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You did what?
Yeah, very surprised.
Did you tell them you don't like book clubs?
Yeah, or just reading in general, right? Unless it's like a pop magazine.
I like to be here for the comedy, Erin.
Yeah.
I'm here for the laughs.
Yep. Hey, you know what? We can all change. So let's hear about it.
Okay, so for those who are kind of newer to the show and aren't too familiar with my history on book club, let me give you a little history on my book club. So several years ago, this is like, so it was right after the birth of my first kid. So it's roughly about 9 years ago.
Yeah, that's a hard time.
It was a really hard time. We had a group of friends who were all kind of fairly new moms that wanted to join a book club. And it was created, I believe, as an effort to kind of make sure that we all had time to see each other.
Definitely.
Right?
I agree. I was part of that, as you know. Yes.
You were. So I feel like you would agree, right?
But no, I agree. It was a way to stay connected for sure. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it really, so for me, that was my first, and it probably was the same for others, that was my first time trying to embrace a hobby / schedule time for myself for self-care to be like not a mommy, right? And I thought I was walking in prepared to jump right back into the old me post having a baby, right? Even though I was like in the thick of first time parent mommyhood. What I think, looking back, what I think I was feeling, because obviously, like, it was really hard for me. I have a lot of negative emotions about it. And I think the reason why is I think I struggled with, like, I never was able to finish books. Therefore, I felt like I was never able to participate in a lot of the conversations. Like, I could do some, like a lot of the intro of the book I could participate in. But when you got towards the end of the book, I was like, I don't really know anything about that part.
Yeah.
So I think what I was feeling was a lot of embarrassment for not being able to keep up. But I think it was also, I felt behind. I think that's the word I was looking at. I was seeing my peers who were also similarly from my perception, everybody has different, lives or different experiences. But at that time, my perception was we were all in the same place, all fresh parents. And you guys were all able to finish the book, and I wasn't. And it just was like this monthly reminder of how much I was struggling to find that time for myself to do something hobby / self-care oriented. And then I'd have to go and try to pretend like I did do all of that with you guys. And it just, I think I just felt shame. Like, I think I just felt like I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And therefore I wasn't good enough to be a part of that book club. And so I shut down. I totally shut down, and I was like, I never want to do this again. I don't want to be a part of book clubs. Like, book clubs just always had like this negative emotion tied to it.
Yeah, that's such an interesting. Because I was part of that book club too. You never have told me this or expressed like all these feelings. I didn't know that that's how you felt about. Like, that was why you pulled back from the book club. And I also, it's just testament to not knowing what's really going on in somebody's head, right? But because I at that time did not have children, and so I couldn't really relate to that. Right. And so it wasn't really, I didn't probably understand where you were at. And then, so I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, no. It's definitely not a situation of like where, because honestly, you guys didn't do anything wrong. Like, you guys, again, like, I'm speaking without really having spoken to any other members of the team. Then my first time really talking to you about it, right? Is I think we were all just trying to stay afloat.
Yes.
And at that point in time, most of us being new parents, right? We're kind of, I'm sure we're feeling the same feelings of kind of drowning like I was. So you couldn't it was very narrow tunnel vision, right? Like it wasn't like you could take that effort to look around to see how your peers were feeling, right? And like you said, I wasn't really showing that or expressing any of that. I was kind of keeping it bottled because outside, like for me, just observing on the outside, I was like, gosh, all these guys are crushing it. And like, you know, when it comes to like a book, you know, it's like a project, right? There is a beginning and there is an end. Yeah. And like I was just, you know, prior to having kids, I was this, you know, business professional that was climbing this ladder and I was becoming highly successful in my field. And it was defeating that even just as something as a book I couldn't get to the end of, right? So I was just really beating myself up and I just really shut down. And I think through these years I've always held book club accountable.
No, that makes sense. It's just like a trigger for you, like a negative trigger. I think that's right. Two things come to mind. One is like just a good reminder that we don't ever know what's going on in somebody's life, and just also that people just aren't aware, I feel like. And how we put on these, especially when we're new moms or going through struggles, like we're so bad about like leaning on our friends when we need help, right? And I guess I think it's very relatable that I'm sure, because I think we've all probably been there in some capacity in some way, you know, especially being a new mom, like we all have our struggles. So fast forward to here 9 years later, 9 years later. So you've joined a new book club.
I've joined a book club.
And it's with like a family member, is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So again, I'm trying to explore hobbies and I've got a lot of family who are listeners and they're so wonderful for doing that. And I have my cousin Megan who had reached out and she was like, I really want to start a book club, but I also kind of want to use it as an excuse to stay in touch with you. We were really, really close as kids. And you know, you become an adult and your lives just kind of get a little crazy and you just lose time, right? And I was fully honest with her. I was like, I have a really negative emotion about book clubs. I have a history of not finishing the books. And I'm hesitant. And she was really wonderful because she was like, honestly, she's like, I also worry that I won't be able to finish books because, you know, she's got a kid who's like in the depths of baseball, which is, you know, very taxing on not just the kid, but the family. And she's like, you know, I think if we just have like an expectation of like, this is what we would like to do, let's give ourselves some grace and then let's just try this and see if it just really is more of an excuse to hang out together while also having potentially a book that we could talk about.
That is such a different approach than your first time around, right? So and being different. Like, how does it feel to be just like totally open and honest about that and that she accepted you and like you guys connected on that? It probably was such a better way to start something like that.
Oh my God, it felt wonderful. And honestly, Erin, I don't think I could have gotten in that place if I hadn't already done the work with season 1 of our podcast. I feel like I think had she approached me and I hadn't done that work, I would have done one of two things. I would have said, sorry, busy, think of some sort of lie, like, oh, my kids are sick for the next 4 months. I'm not able to do it. Or I would have done something like, sure, and then just been
never read
miserable.
the book, and then never read the book.
Right, and then just like had this like this taste for it. But I think having taking the work from season 1 of really practicing what it means to prioritize yourself and to schedule that time.
Be accountable to yourself
and being open. You know, like I feel like being able to approach her and be able to say like, this is where I'm at in my life with this, and here's how I feel that I can best approach it. I think it really created a positive environment. And she being so receptive and kind of mirroring the same emotions really kind of helped me too. Feel like I was in a safer space. Because I feel like, you know, joining clubs, I don't think it's just book club, just joining clubs in general, you know, it comes with an expectation, right?
Commitment. It's a commitment.
It's a commitment. It's a group project, right? And I think there's a place for all different types of clubs, right? Let's just keep it to the book club level. I think there is a place for the book clubs that are very like, we're going to finish this book and we're going to talk about this book and we're going to stay focused. That's great. I think those are good. But I think there's also a place for the ones that are like, let's try. let's give it our best shot. We all recognize where we're at in our life, and let's move forward. Right?
So is that for you guys how it ended up playing out? You
it
guys,
really is. Yeah. So we've been doing this for a couple of months now, and there's some months where we both finish the book. There's some months where one of us finishes the book. This last month was my book pick, and I did not finish the book, which I was like, dang it, that was my pick too. But she doesn't give me any like negativity back. Well, really none of the members do. Like it's not just us. There's other members. Like Beth, who is not a millennial mom, actually. She is an older generation, and she's super supportive of where we're at because she's kind of living the retirement life. And sometimes she also doesn't want to read the book. Sure. She wants to garden, so it's really this type of book club is really good for me because I feel like it mirrors my current life. It gives me freedom to start a project but not finish it, which we talk about oftentimes about a theme of like, if you're doing something that's not bringing you joy, like if I start a book and I'm just like,
you don't have to finish it. I don't
like this book.
Yes. It took me a long time to learn that.
Yeah. Yes. And and I feel like that just really is it's rewriting what a book club looks for me. And I feel like it's fixing that little thing that I had in the back of my brain.
Yeah, that filter on it.
Yeah, and I think it also helped me go back and reflect on why I had such a distaste for book club, because I think I used to be like such a big book reader. Yeah. And then when I hit that book club, ever since then, like I haven't really dove into.
Well, you got the mix of motherhood plus all that. I mean, there's just a lot of wrenches thrown in there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think taking that time to reflect on what happened back then and like what were the real emotions I was feeling. And the real emotions I was feeling is I was looking at my peers and I was just feeling like I wasn't keeping up. And it was my first time trying to dive into self-care, and I just didn't have the tools. I didn't know how. I didn't know that the importance of scheduling that time. I didn't know the importance of recognizing that my kid will be fine sometimes just being with dad and not always having mom there. Right. And that was just something that you're not. Don't start. I would recommend not starting a hobby before you're really ready. Yeah. And
start small too.
And start small.
We talk about that a lot. How important it is that when you're starting this journey, because you literally have been programmed, depending on your age, for 30, 40 years to not prioritize yourself and to like think, oh, I'm gonna like join all these clubs and go every week. Like that's just not realistic, and you're gonna get burnt out, and you're going to like quit probably.
Oh yeah.
So we talk about that a lot, right? Just starting small. So I mean, it sounds like this low pressure situation is a much better way for you.
Oh yeah.
Or for probably a lot of people.
Well, and the other thing I wanted to note that was something that was a little different for me is, back then audiobooks weren't as prevalent as they are now.
That's true.
And being able to do audiobooks has also helped me a lot because like I can put it on while I'm doing some chores.
Yeah, that's huge.
I can kind of multitask.
I agree. To be perfectly honest, there was times when I didn't finish the book back then. I remember.
The truth will set you free.
And I remember like an hour before trying to like speed read.
Okay. Well, now that you've opened the door, let's go back to 9 years ago.
Holy cow! I don't even know if I can remember.
Something that I kind of actually forgot.
Oh, what's that?
Is the fact that you're right. You didn't have kids at that point in time.
Right.
You were and actually, I don't know if many people know this, but for a long time, Erin, you didn't think you wanted kids.
True.
That's true. At that point in time, that's where your mindset was.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
What was it like being a person who didn't think kids were part of their future?
Yeah.
Being a part of a club where it was heavily filled with moms who were first timers.
I think in a different way I felt like left out, in some ways. And it's hard. It was when you don't have kids, obviously it's harder to connect with moms and not because you just don't understand what they're going through. And I think there was also the piece at that point in my life. I was very early in my career. I was very career focused because I'm a business owner, I'm a dentist, and I was very like in that stress of like trying to build up my practice.
How long did you had your practice at that point in time?
Well, for 9 years. I mean, I've been there since 2012.
Wow.
So, Yeah. So, I mean, it was a few years in.
Yeah.
But I still those first 5 years were extremely stressful. So I think that was my main focus.
Yeah.
It was very tunnel vision on that. So I do remember not getting, and I don't think I wasn't a big reader at the time either.
Really?
So I feel like it was really in the last 5 years I've become a really big reader.
It's so funny that we've never really sat and talked about that point in time. Which I get why we probably haven't brought it up, because one, it's kind of an old story.
Right.
And two, you didn't realize how impactful it was on my life. Yeah. But it's interesting kind of going back into that time, because the both of us were in two very different points in our lives.
Yep.
And so, hearing that you, who didn't have kids, also wasn't able to finish the books and was trying to connect with a group that maybe you didn't have as many commonalities as the rest of us. Yeah. It just goes to show how even like really close friends can have kind of like those blinders on, that tunnel vision, when you're just trying to get yourself where you're trying to go, and you're heavily focused. Because like your career at that time, like you said, you had just bought your business. You were highly developed in building it up. I can't even imagine the difficulties that brought. Because that's kind of like a baby.
It is a little bit, yeah. And I think it also speaks to how uncomfortable we were about being vulnerable.
Yes.
And I think we're in such a different place now than we were because of this podcast, but also just for a lot of different reasons. And I just don't think that would happen now, right? Like, I just wouldn't. So I think that's a great story. Thanks for bringing it back to like present versus past time, because I think that those parallels of where you were versus where you are now is huge.
Well, and even just amongst us as being really close friends, right? Like how we had a starting point that was very different and then brought us, somehow we ended up at the same place in life.
Yeah, it is weird.
Like it's almost, was it Gwyneth Paltrow movie where it was like, it's called Sliding Doors, where it's
I
like
never saw that. I'm sorry.
So it's like, okay, it's that story where like you like this like butterfly effect happens where she chooses this, and so then the movie plays out if she chose that. Then the other side is if she didn't choose that, and the movie plays out like that. It's so interesting how like you and I chose different realms, but then eventually kind of circled back to linking up. But we've been friends across that whole time.
Yeah, it is interesting.
So, just the moral of the story, folks.
Yeah.
Is to try out book clubs.
That's right. Well, I do want to come back to that just really quick, though. Are you going to keep doing book club? Do you think that, you think that's going to be an ongoing thing?
I feel like I really want to stress the importance that I'm not trying to say that, like, you can't be a part of a book club that's structured. It really embraces that intellectual side, because I think that's wonderful. And I hope, honestly, now that I'm toeing back into a book club that has a very positive, forgiving energy when it comes to like if you finished or not, I think it's going to build me up to being more confident to then dive into that book club. That's a really, because I do like my structure, and I do like my projects from start to finish. So I feel like I'll graduate to that advanced book club, you know? So I think I think when it comes to really just any club, I would encourage our listeners to be open about where you are in your place in life, because you might find that there's somebody who also feels that same way.
Absolutely. And you can connect with them in that way.
You can connect with them in that way. And I feel like they will be, it creates a level of, it removes that stressor that prevents the joy part of it, right? And I think once you have that, I think you can try a hobby at a pace that works for you and build a positive.
And that's really the bottom line, right? Finding the joy and doing what makes you happy.
Exactly.
So it's like really checking in with yourself. And if it's not making you happy, then reevaluate that if that's something you want to really keep in your life.
Absolutely. And don't let one bad group burn you from a hobby and make you think that that's not the hobby for you. Coming from experience, because I really thought that I just wasn't that person that couldn't be a part of book clubs or even read books for that matter. I was like, I'm not cut out for this. I think it was just wrong place, wrong time for me. And I think I just needed to personally do some growth. And now that I'm there and I'm willing to have those conversations with people, I think now I'm diving back into a realm that I'm actually enjoying. Like, I am enjoying reading the books.
That's awesome.
I'm loving how it keeps the conversation between like Beth and Megan. It keeps the conversation topical, and then also allows us to kind of build from that conversation and spend time together. Yeah. So I personally have really enjoyed diving back into book club, facing my fear.
I love it.
And correcting some past trauma.
Yeah. Hobbies can do so many things, listeners. We hope that's the takeaway. Well, and wrap it up for today.
Yeah, that's all I got.
So, if you've considered ever joining a club, that some book club might be your passion, or just starting to read some books. Audiobooks are a great way to start.
Just talk with the people that are in there. Try them out. Try different clubs. Don't let one burn you. Find one that matches your current chapter in life, and I bet you'll really enjoy it.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode about Tam's new hobby, book club. And join us next time on The Art of Hobbiness.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Hobbiness. Be sure to leave a review and rating. And for a little extra Erin and Tam fun, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Pinterest for behind-the-scenes footage of our journey to find hobbiness.